Welcome to the MSP Corner podcast. Before we kick off our show, we would like to share what our main objective is at the MSP Corner. Our main goal is to help CEOs build profitable and self-sustainable IT service firms. We are not just providing tools for IT firms, we will be sitting in meetings with you to ensure your IT firm stays on track. The first area we are focused on, strategic sales. IT firms are stuck selling technology or IT support. We will provide you with the blueprint so you position your firm as an added value to your prospects. We will have framework on how to sell value so you influence the prospect into selecting your firm. The second area we see many IT firms struggle in is marketing. 90+% of businesses rely on antiquated marketing methods. The most popular choice, word of mouth. We have proven methods on how to attract the ideal prospect. Our framework will include how to become the online authority and be the business influencer for an industry. The third component to our package, scaling. IT firms walk away from opportunities because they lack the bandwidth or skill set to scale. We have lined up reputable businesses so our members can hire on-demand resources that will allow them to scale their business. The fourth area we will offer help in, selecting the right tools. In order to deliver value, you need the right tech stack. Our platform will offer information on products that are the ideal choice for MSPs. The fifth area we will offer help in is with documentation. Templates are a critical component when building an MSP. We will have contracts, proposals, SOWs, collateral, and much more in the template section. You will have every document you need to start up your managed IT service business. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go to our next podcast. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining podcast show number 14. I am your host, Fernando Leon, and I am joined by my co-host, Gregory Morawiecz. And today we're going to be talking about just a really ugly part of business. Everybody hates doing it. I hated doing it. I did it for a very long time. But the topic of today is cold calling. And, just to give it a breakdown, we're going to be talking about several things regarding cold calling. A CRM, an email list, an ICP. What does that mean? That's an ideal client profile. Anticipating a prospect's needs. This is a very long and calculated process, and part of being successful with any type of business and any business and with building relationships is you have to build rapport, right? That's part of our discussion today. We're going to talk about the 3 C's. Does cold calling even really work? And you have to be okay with rejection, right? And how do you get over that? We'll be talking about that. How many calls should you make a day? 30, 50 calls a day. That's not even, I would say the minimum 30 calls a day. You want to fill your pipe, you got to make at least 30 calls a day. And the power of persuasion or the power of fear. What is effective today? What's a good time to call? And then this is a 2-part series. So on part 2, we're going to give away that script. We'll go over it in detail and we'll discuss other topics. But today we're just going to hit on some very important points to have a successful campaign. And let me ask you this. Do you want to increase your company's monthly recurring revenue? Do you want to close more sales? Do you want to do more new business? Do you want to fill that pipe? Well, you're going to have to implement several funnels. And cold calling is one of those funnels, right? Because you're going to have SEO set up, PPC set up, social media set up. But today we're going to focus on cold calling. So let's kick this show off. And Gregory, just ask questions as I start speaking because there's a lot of ground we need to cover. And the first thing is we're going to first mention the most important component with any business that is doing sales. And for a salesperson is a CRM. What is a CRM? A CRM is a customer relationship management tool. Okay, this is a SaaS product. They're free. Go to Zoho.com. They will provide you with a complete platform for you to track everything. And that's what a CRM does. You want to upload your list. You want to keep track of every conversation you have, every email you send, every follow-up. And that's the most important part of having generating new business is the follow-up, because you're just not going to send a proposal and forget about it. You're going to have to circle back and call up that prospect and say, hey, I had a note here to give you a call back. Does it make sense for us to do business? Right? That's just going to be part of the sales process. Now, if you don't have a CRM, you are going to miss out on opportunities, because the CRM is going to remind you of everything you have discussed. It's going to remind you of when to call. You could integrate your email engine with your CRM so you can track who opened emails. And if you want to get really sophisticated, have a scoring system. You can set up sequences, so a lot of information is automated. So
Can't
that,
you also tie your products and things that people order to it so that when they're time for renewal, like for SSL certs and stuff like that, you get an alarm that says, hey, your
of
customer that
course,
already exists needs more product.
yes, of course. But I would have a really good well, I wouldn't rely on your vendors to call you up to say, hey, your licenses needs to be renewed. You want to be ahead of the game. You don't want your client pissed off saying, hey, I can't open up my PDF files because my PDF license ran out, right? You don't want that. You don't want to have that conversation. So yeah, these CRMs are very sophisticated, so they will have those type of reminders set up. So yes, I'm pretty sure you can tie it in with your products. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you
I'm
can.
not that sophisticated with my CRM,
I
so
know. No, I know for sure you can.
okay. Well, don't we have all our products tied in with Autotask and on that back end? Isn't that how you have it set up?
Well, it's all about monthly recurring revenue for an MSP. So
Yeah.
we really rarely have like a warranty or a SSL cert or even our overall contract. I don't know if you have it alerting you when it's about to expire, but yeah, you can do it. We are so closely interwoven with our customers that we really don't need to be reminded when something's about to expire.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, you need a CRM. I talk to so many CEOs of MSPs who are still on, believe it or not, Excel spreadsheets, and they're doing something very cringy. I feel very, it's just not a good thing to use. Outlook calendar, right? It's like they set a reminder to call back. It's just not a good practice. A CRM is going to save you from yourself. So do the research, look into a CRM tool. It integrates with your email. It will integrate with your products, licensing. So you want to have those reminders automatically be generated. So now, what are you going to do if you want to target a specific industry? I'm going to encourage all MSPs to first consider a specific industry. You have a skill set. Who finds that skill set valuable, right? If you want to increase your chances of closing a new business, you need to target a specific industry, because that industry is not only going to interview you, they're going to interview three other MSPs. And if all your competition is not an expert in that industry, your chances of closing that opportunity are going to increase exponentially. So please consider an industry. If you're just starting off and you're just getting everything you're just taking anything you can get, let's get to a point. Let's make a goal. Let's make a commitment that you're going to focus on an industry, because once you do that, you're going to generate more business. And that's when I talk about the ICP, which stands for Ideal Client Profile. Because when you create an ideal client profile, you know all the ins and outs, you know all the challenges, you know all the apps, you know how to solve problems quickly. So creating an ICP is going to help you close more new business, because you're going to know everything there is to supporting that environment. Now, before you start making any cold calls, and if you know your ICP, your ideal client profile, you're going to know what a process, you're going to be able to anticipate a prospect's needs and requirements. And what are those? It could be security, it could be compliance, it could be backup. Obviously, computer support is bundled in there, but you got to think bigger than that. You have to think that security is going to be at the top of the list. And what is going to be a big security concern for, let's say, the medical industry, or another firm that needs to be compliant. Let's say the industry that needs to be compliant is, let's say, HIPAA, such as the medical industry. So you want to hit on two areas that are going to pique some interest, because everybody has them. And that's how you are able to anticipate a prospect needs, is because you know them so well. And that's going to be all worked into your cold calling, because you can anticipate a specific conversation. You know what they want to hear, you know what they need, what you need to say. So that's why it's so important to build that ideal client profile. Now, are you going to start making calls immediately? Well, you can. That's one approach that you could do. You can just start, you can pick up that phone and start going down that list of calling into your prospects, right? Your ideal client prospect, because you know them well. But my suggestion would be to build rapport. You always want to build rapport, because these guys, they don't know you. They don't know if you're credible. They don't know if you're reliable. They don't know if they can trust you. But what happens when you build rapport? What happens when you educate your audience? You're slowly building trust and rapport with your audience, right? Because you're articulating what these businesses want to hear. You're providing them with what I would say customer-centric information, right? Because you don't want to be product-centric. You want to be customer-centric. And what does that mean? Well, you're going to pitch them on what they want to hear, what they need, because you don't want to sell somebody something that they don't need, right? Because that would be more product centric. You want to be customer centric. And what does that customer need? What is the challenges they have? What are the worries they have, the concerns? So you always want to be able to, you want to build a strategy that is customer centric. Now, before you start anything, because you're going to get a lot of rejection, and this is what I call the 3 C's, because you gotta have confidence when you're making cold calls. If you sound nervous, if you sound uncertain, if you sound not credible, they're going to smell blood in the water and they will attack you, or they will just hang up. So you gotta have confidence. It's just a requirement. And now the next thing you're going to need is commitment. You need to make a commitment and say, I'm going to make 30 calls a day. Because if you make 30 calls a month, your pipeline is going to be empty. So you have to make a commitment that you're going to make 30 calls, at least 30 calls a day. That's going to take you 3 hours of your day, okay? I've done this a very long time. I made cold calls the first 10 years of working at Single Point of Contact. So I know how long it takes. Now, competency is the last C. All right. You got to sound competent. And what does that come from? If you have confidence, you will sound competent. You will be educated. You have a skill set, or at least you have a sales skill set to sell a specific solution, a customer-centric solution, because you don't want to try to fit your square peg in a customer's round hole, because they need a square peg, they need a round hole, they need a round shape to go in there. So don't try to sell something they don't need. You want to be targeting your ideal client prospect because you know what they need, you know what they want, you know their struggles, you know their challenges. Okay. And when you sound confident and you make a commitment and you're competent, you're going to do great. Now, does cold calling work? Well, Greg, I've hit on a few bullet points. You have any questions? Because you've been quiet.
Yeah, I would also say that there's some tools out there that'll help you cold call. And that's like a robo dialer, like something that automatically dials for you. And
Sure.
being able to call, pushing buttons on your phone, just like can sabotage you, right? You can't sit there and push buttons on a phone. 1-408-9. Oh, did I make this mistake? I got to go back. You got to have some sort of robo dialer, right?
Sure. And hopefully a CRM, which has your phone number, can be integrated with RoboDialer. And that's a great recommendation.
You can be slowed down a lot by the fact that you don't have a
RoboDialer. I agree. My daughter that does cold calling for the University of Arizona philanthropy division, they have robocallers. They have a very sophisticated setup. So she has an automatic dialer. It's funny. She's making 100 calls a day. And I think within a span of like 3 or 4 hours. So
having a robo dialer and also having a robo system can be important, right? Because yes. Like I got a call today from a cold caller, and I knew it was a cold caller because there was a pause between me saying hello. I'm sure we've all experienced it.
Yes.
Hello, is anyone there? And then the robo says, "Oh, I got somebody," and then passes it over to an agent.
Yeah.
So not only do you need a robo dialer, you might need a robo who sits there and fields answers.
Yep. No, I like it. And I don't mind the occasional cold caller because I used to do that. And just a side note for everybody, most executives that are in business used to make cold calls. So a lot of them will give you that time of day, and some of them won't. But we're not batting 1,000 here. We're not trying to bat 1,000, guys. We're trying to bat in the 250s, 300s. Now, before you start picking up that phone and you start making calls, is cold calling really going to work? Because you have so many obstacles in your way. You have so many obstacles. I mean, you have voicemail. Voicemail is the gatekeeper. You have sophisticated VoIP systems that will tell they have caller ID. They don't recognize your number, they won't pick up. They have gatekeepers, physical gatekeepers that are intercepting all calls before it goes to the CFO or the CEO. So you have a lot of obstacles to get in front of the decision maker. And here's another obstacle, and this is the worst one, which I hate. We're not in this sexy business of selling a CRM tool to the VP of sales, because who wants that? Who wants that CRM tool? It's the VP of sales. We know for a fact, because he's managing a group of salespeople who need to track all of their calls, all of their conversations, all of their emails. They need a system in place. So whoever sells a CRM tool knows, hey, I got to call the VP of sales. He's going to make the decision. He's the decision maker. Easy target, right? Well, that's not how it works for MSPs. I'm sorry to say, we don't know who the fuck the decision maker is. We just don't. And it sucks. It could be the CEO, it could be the CFO, it could be the CTO, CIO, VP of operations, VP of IT. Mainly, you have to have a VP of IT, you know, they're the decision maker. But most of the time, they don't have that. If you're calling into a small business, you're going to have a better chance of speaking with the CEO, because the CEO, anyone that has 20 or less employees, would you agree, Greg, that a CEO is going to be the decision maker?
Maybe.
Then it's a maybe. Yeah, you're right.
A lot of the time it's the office manager.
Yes, I agree with you. And it's a lot easier to get in touch with the office manager than it is the CEO. So
right,
there's the silver lining to all this is, yes, if you call into an office, even 30 people, if you can get some good data, and I'm pretty sure you know where to get this. I'll tell you this right now. I set this up for another MSP. We set up Sales Navigator. We set up an email campaign through Sales Navigator, and a sequence of 6 messages to go out, just to build rapport, build trust. And he's hoping to generate interest that way. But the people that do accept his invitation to connect, he should create a list and cold call them after reaching out to them. But I tell you, here's another challenge with a lot of these businesses, is they don't even post their phone numbers on their website anymore. They don't. It's unbelievable.
Isn't there something called a warm call?
There is. Well, that would be considered a warm call. Let's say, well, this one executive who I helped set up a Sales Navigator campaign, we're sending out a series of 7 or 8 sequences, right? A thank you for connecting, follow us, follow our company for information on keeping your company secure and compliant, because he's going after companies with security and compliant that need to be secure and compliant. And then he sends another message a week later that says, hey, he's sending out 5 or 6 different messages to 5 or 6 different executives at one firm, because like I said, we don't know who the decision maker is. So he sends a unique message to each executive, and then he sends them another email 10 days later about backup or security or something, a case study. He'll send them information that they will find valuable. And then he sends one last follow-up. Hey, is there any way we can, can we schedule a call to discuss, how we can keep you compliant, how we can keep you secure? So this is just a trial and error to see if he can drum up business this way. This is costing him his time, which is not very much, maybe an hour a day, but it's really pretty much plug and play. It's like you just insert the information and you're done. And this thing is running on automatic. Now, can he call into these places? He probably could, because they're a small office. They're 10 to 50 people. So more than likely, he can get a phone number and call each person. Now, I'm going to encourage him to do that, because you need to build rapport, and that's so important. And he's done that. So hopefully they remember his name, a message. He planted a seed, and they recall that he has been messaging them. So, but let me get back to the original bullet point: does cold calling work? It can work with small businesses. Don't expect to call into a business that has 200 plus employees. It's just not going to work. Even 100 plus employees. It's so difficult to to find a decision maker, to get them on the phone, to get past the gatekeeper. It's just very, very difficult. And the other thing you need to prepare for is rejection. You're going to get so many no's, and you can get discouraged. This is an easy position to get discouraged in. You got to have some thick skin. So you have to get ready for rejection. You got to be ready to get punched in the nose so many times. But this is a very rewarding position if you can get in front of the right person and schedule that meeting. And then it's not even over yet. Just because you got the meeting, you still have to present. You still have to first you have to qualify them. Are they a good fit? Can you increase your chances by closing them? Because for sure, I can tell you this, as sure as sun will come up tomorrow, as the IRS is going to come collecting for their taxes, I can assure you that they're going to request a reference. So you have to be able to produce a reference that is similar to them. You and I have heard it hundreds of times. Fernando and Greg, can you get me a reference in our industry? I would like to, and it'd be great if they were our same size. And I'm I'm just looking at them, I'm going, what? What fantasy
They're
land do you
same
live in?
size of same challenges.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
I just look at him and I go, oh my God, is he really asking for this? But hey, it's asked for, and we try to do the best we can. And when I get if they're in the medical industry, or what, biotech was asked by a lot, and if I got them a pharmaceutical, it'd be fine. They were fine with it. Health industry is such as they're producing these medical devices, and they're like, can you get us somebody that's similar? I'd be like, yeah, I can get you a pharmaceutical company, right? It's a drug and a medical device are so different, but they were fine with it. Just get close, have something close to them. Don't go out of your comfort zone. Do not go after, don't start a conversation with a firm with 100 people and you're only supporting offices that have 10 people. It's just, you're going to waste your time. It's just a complete waste of time unless you know the CEO. The CEO loves you. He worked with you in the past and he can trust you. It's the only way you can make that work. Now, the power of persuasion, or are you going to leverage the power of fear? And you and I talked about this the other day, Greg. What do you consider more effective? Because persuasion is an art. Power of fear, right? Selling fear or positioning fear is easy, right? Because you can talk to a CEO of a medical office and you can immediately touch on fear, right? What are you going to do if you get hacked? What are you going to do if are you insured? So if they steal your client data, your patient information, are you going to be able to recover those costs if you get sued, et cetera, et cetera. So you can instill fear all day. I think fear is so easy, but the power of persuasion, I feel, can easily be done too with a proper sales process. And what I mean by the power of persuasion is when you ask a series of questions. Are you out of shape? Do you have heart disease? Do you have high cholesterol? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you not fit into your clothes anymore? Okay, you have all those questions. Okay, well, let me tell you, I've helped 20 people like you reduce, increase their health. They no longer take blood pressure medicine. They're off their cholesterol meds, et cetera, et cetera. Based on all this information I just shared with you and all the testimonials I just presented and case studies that we can help you lose weight and get you in great shape. Do you feel like we're a great fit for you? Would you agree that I can help you achieve your goals of getting in great shape? That's the power of persuasion, because at the end, this person who's out of shape is going to say, yes, you can help me. You've helped others. Do you feel we're a good fit? Yes, I feel you're a good fit. Well, when can we start working together? Or can I get you a proposal that will illustrate a comprehensive overview of how we're going to help you achieve your goals, right? So that's the power of how I feel persuasion would work, is if you ask a series of questions during your meeting, you're going to have a higher chance of closing the opportunity. Now, back to cold calling. What time is a good time to call? What is it? When should you call? Well, they're saying, the experts say 10 to 11:30 and after 1:30. You never call at lunch. You don't call on Fridays and you don't call on Mondays. But you can try and see how those numbers work. And you can track, you can keep track of all that. It's very easy to keep track. Your CRM will help you keep track. So think about that. Next week, I'm going to want to talk about the script and this sales process I just talked about, because there's two things that you do when you do cold calling. And I'm going to go over that list of questions so you properly qualify the opportunity, so you're ready for your meeting. You're armed to the teeth for sharing, what you can offer them. So, but yeah, that's pretty much a wrap, unless you want to touch on something else.
No, I mean, I've been cold called like 10,000 times, so I think there's also fatigue, right, from being cold called so much. So maybe you were open to listening to the first 2,000 people that cold called you, but after a while, you can't take the time it would require to answer all these people.
Sure. No, you're
So,
right. You're right. It's a timing thing. You're right. A CEO is not going to take 5 cold calls in one day. He won't. If you're that lucky one to be the first one, he will take your call.
well, there's also the what you're selling. I mean, if you're selling janitorial services to a company that is renting space from, like WeWork or something, they're never going to want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you know? You
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But and then they don't want to take the time to tell you that you're wasting your time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're
I
too
mean, cold
nice.
calling is so brutally hard. It's easier to go door to door than it is to cold call.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, on part 2, we're going to be touching on several topics. I mean, because this is a lot, man. And one of the biggest challenges is building trust, building rapport, being that credible source. And there's a way to do that. There is a way. And that's why I tell all of these guys, compile a list, create email segments, create a list so you have your finance opportunities, you have your medical opportunities, you have your legal opportunities. You keep those people on a newsletter rotation, because you're building up trust, you're building rapport. You're building, you're showing them that you're a credible source. But we'll talk about that on the next podcast. But and that we're turning this into a webinar, and we're going to share some slides and some information and some just more information, just do a deeper dive. But yeah, that's it. That'll be tonight's a wrap. So unless you got something else you want to share,
No,
we're gonna wrap this up.
no.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. And don't forget to sign up to be a member on the mspcorner.com. It's www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO of an MSP who you think will find our information beneficial to their business, because it's not easy building an MSP. There's so many challenges, so many struggles, and we want to be part of your journey. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening. Have a good night. Thank you for listening, And don't forget to sign up to be a member on www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO who will find our information beneficial to their business. Have an awesome day.